So, Amazon. You know, I believe, part of the great thing about becoming rich, part of the great thing about becoming rich is you can pay for a lot of stuff, right? But in America, the thing about being rich, people get rich, not everyone, but the majority of really, really rich people that try to influence policy and influence the government are really, really super greedy and cheap. So, Jeff Bezos, who makes $266 million a day, makes $64,000 every 10 seconds. So somebody calculate how much money he's making while I do this video. Under extreme pressure from one Bernard Sanders, he raised the minimum wage of Amazon workers to $15 an hour. That was a good thing, and I gave him credit for that. Wonderful. The working conditions are still terrible, which we actually want to go in the field to cover that and speak with people from Amazon. So hit, GoFundMe. That's what it's for, baby. The more money we get in that GoFundMe, the more we get out into America. And we might expand our goal beyond 50,000. We've raised 20,000 in 2 months, so we might have to push past 50,000. But that remains to be seen. Jen or Sam, could you put the GoFundMe link in there too, so people have it? Great. So, there was this big hubbubaloo for months as states were like bending over backwards to try and get Amazon to put their second headquarters in those states. And I guess the states felt that if they could get Amazon to open up their second headquarters, then they will get a lot of jobs and grow industry. And maybe around the Amazon headquarters, you could put hotels, you could put restaurants, entertainment complexes, all that. So that was the thought. Of course, Amazon coming in, it's not a bad thing if you could create jobs. But since when in the United States do you have to basically give our money to companies like Amazon for them to grace us with their presence, to grace us with their business, which, by the way, their business, all these jobs that are going to be created, this business is mostly part-time workers, a lot of seasonal workers, a lot of contract workers. The working conditions are awful. So after states prostituted themselves to try and get Amazon to come over, I mean, Detroit wanted the second Amazon headquarters. There was a lot. New Jersey wanted it. Maryland wanted it. Everybody was prostituting themselves for Amazon. It was like Jeff Bezos was the cute girl, and you had to go impress her. Denise says it right. Creates jobs that require food stamps. So, New York City definitely in dire need of a major tech company to come swooping in. New York City was selected as, they call it its second headquarters, but they're actually going to be in two different areas. So second and third, I guess. New York City, more specifically Long Island City, which is right in Queens, was selected as one of the locations, and Northern Virginia, Arlington specifically, which is where all the lobbyists live. It's where all the powerful live. It's near the Pentagon. New York City and Northern Virginia, Arlington, were chosen for these headquarters. Also, didn't get a lot of coverage, but Tennessee is getting I don't know what it's called. Not a full headquarters, but like some building with Amazon. So, how much are we, the taxpayers, paying for the Amazon and Jeff Bezos to open up shop? Because when they say they're getting tax subsidies, who do you think's paying for that? You hear all these people say, I've always said, we already live in a socialist country. It's socialism for the rich. Who do you think's paying for Trump's donors and the wealthy 1%'s tax cuts? Us. They're either cutting our Medicare, cutting our Medicaid, cutting our food stamps, cutting our affordable housing, cutting heating, cutting, and sometimes there's small little increases in taxes that you don't see. Dave Awesome says socialism for the right is rich is right. Hey, I'm just keeping it real. We fund that corporate welfare. Yep. You fund it. I tell my parents this all the time. My father watches Fox News. I love him, but, totally off the reservation when it comes to politics. I say, Dad, these tax cuts, is this helping your jewelry store? Have you seen a tax cut? Well, no. I mean, it's unbelievable. So, New York City and New York State, by the way, New York State has the highest income inequality of any state in the United States for reasons like this. And it just re-elected Andrew Cuomo, who's basically Hillary Clinton with a penis. Just keeping it real. So Amazon is getting $1.5 billion to come to New York. $1.5 billion. Who the hell is paying Amazon $1.5 billion to come to New York, which already has the highest income inequality in the country? Governor Cuomo, Mayor de Blasio, who claims to be a progressive, but sat together Tuesday to announce that they had emerged victorious from a nationwide competition to lure tens of thousands of Amazon jobs to New York. But the big question people are asking is, what did they offer the company in terms of tax subsidies and other benefits, and what will New York City get in return? Amazon finally gave some answers on Tuesday. Quote, Amazon will receive performance-based direct incentives of $1.525 billion based on the company creating 25,000 jobs in Long Island City, the company wrote in a blog post, formally announcing the deal, most of which comes from a state tax credit. Amazon will receive these incentives over the next decade based on the incremental jobs it creates each year. So let me actually explain how this is going to work, because the press release, that's not how it works. They're going to get most of this money whether they create the jobs or not. They're going to get most of this money whether they create the jobs or not. They're going to get most of this money whether the jobs are full-time, part-time, seasonal, contractor. They're going to get the money. Because the state and the government can always create money out of thin air for corporate welfare. They can't create money out of thin air for inner cities. They can't create money out of thin air for food and nutritional programs, education, fixing the roads, all those things. And speaking of, I have reached out to some folks to do interviews on MMT, because technically, if you follow MMT, they can create the money, they just choose not to. So, those of you who are always asking me to do things, I do a lot behind the scenes. I'm also trying to get an interview with the chairman of the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe. Big victory in that Keystone XL pipeline permit being revoked, but I still want to talk to him because it's a temporary victory. We got to stay on that to make sure that that pipeline permit doesn't get reapplied. Also reached out to Josh Fox today to talk about Nancy Pelosi and her committee, the committee she wants to create. He wasn't available today, but going to try and speak with him this week. So we got a lot in the works here. A lot in the works. Be green. I agree, Zachary. Time to bring back the guillotine. Hey, let's chill out here. No guillotine. Maybe a toy guillotine, like we won't actually do it, but... Oop, sorry. So, we're giving Jeff Bezos and Amazon $1.5 billion to create 25,000 jobs. Yeah, if you told me that we were going to create 25,000 full-time jobs with vibrant benefits, with a cap on working hours, with actual breaks for lunch, with paid sick leave, with paid maternity leave, at $15 an hour, 25,000 full-time jobs at $15 an hour or higher, with suitable working conditions, okay, then we'd have a conversation. But that's not the case. That's not what's going to happen. That's never what happens. So, New York, it's just throwing our money away. The state also offered a capital grant to the company that could total as much as $500 million that Amazon could use to build new offices. So that brings it to $2 billion. And it will also apply for additional incentives through existing programs available to any company, Amazon said. Tax experts said those programs for hiring workers in the bureaus outside Manhattan and for commercial development could amount to hundreds of millions of dollars. For its part, the company said it would, quote, donate space on its campus for a tech startup incubator. Oh, I love that word, incubator. Give me a break. And for use by artists and industrial businesses. Let me tell you what that tech startup incubator means. Continued march towards automation and a jobless economy. That's what a tech startup incubator means. It's a fancy word for automation and a jobless economy. It also agreed to spend $5 million on training and internship programs and to participate in, quote, job fairs and resume workshops. Ugh. See, Amazon's saying all the right shit, but it's not just New York, so Northern Virginia is coming down the pike. And guess what, Northern Virginia? I mean, the corruption is so transparent. They're not even hiding the corruption. Look at this statement from Amazon about the headquarters that's going to Arlington, Virginia. Given Amazon's prominence as a technological powerhouse, access to key stakeholders, including regulators, federal government clients, and think tanks in Washington, D.C. will drive significant value for the company. Oh my God, they are literally saying they put their headquarters right next to the White House and Congress and think tanks and K Street so they can basically bribe everyone. It's in writing. Oh, my head. Am I reading that wrong, folks? Given Amazon's prominence as a technological powerhouse, access to key stakeholders, including regulators, federal government clients, and think tanks in Washington, D.C., will drive significant value for the company. Well, why don't you just say we're going to have a major back room? Lobbyists will be there, bankers will be there, mafia might be there, corporations will be there, journalists will be there, and we're going to screw you even more. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, that is literally a not so subtle admission that they moved there to basically be a heartbeat away from Congress, K Street, and the rest of them. Not only that, they literally, Jeff Bezos, they're building a helipad for his helicopter. The public parties recognize that the company needs access to the development sites and agreed to assist in securing access to a helipad on the development site as part of the development plan and subject to FAA approval. Oh my God. A helipad for this man. Also, very alarming, the company acknowledges that this memorandum is a public record subject to disclosure under the Commonwealth's public records laws, and that portions of certain materials, communications data, and information related to this memorandum may constitute public records subject to disclosure under the Commonwealth's public records laws, and agrees that VEDP and the Commonwealth will disclose this memorandum and such portions of the materials, communications, data, and information related to this memorandum as required by law, provided that VEDP and the Commonwealth accept to the disclosure of the memorandum. So David Sirota had a great tweet explaining what that means in English. It's an attack on freedom of information, and let me get up the tweet for you. So basically what that means is Amazon, here we go. If I could find it. This guy tweets too much. Oh, here we go. This tweet means that Amazon wants a heads up. Governments giving corporations first crack at heading requests for public records off at the pass. Under the agreement between Amazon and Virginia, the Commonwealth will give the company written notice about any freedom of information request to allow the company to seek a protective order or other appropriate remedy.